Well, the program has started, but there are some restrictions here, and so there is absolutely no way to go live. Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Dewald Gray is there, seated by Ambassador Louis Brown. No one is having access to the hall, and so I'm in the media tribune, and I'll do the coverage from right here because no journalist is allowed to go to the hall. So the process has started, and we're right here. This is OKFM live from the United Nations headquarters in New York. We're right here. We have the Deputy Foreign Minister for Foreign Affairs, Councillor Dewald Gray. We have Liberia's ambassador to the U.S., to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown, and you also have Information Minister Jeremy McPear, and the Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for International Cooperation, Madam Charisma Pinonry, and you also have other staffers from the Liberian Mission here. The restriction here is very hard, and so it makes it difficult to go into the main chambers of the Security Council or the General Assembly where the elections are supposed to take place. But we will endeavor to do the coverage from right where we are. This is OKFM 99.5. I'm not going to talk louder because of the restriction. My name is Clarence Jackson from New York, live on Liberia's bid for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. So we are right here in New York, and we've been told that any moment from now the elections, the processes that are supposed to lead to the elections are ongoing at the moment. This is the United Nations General Assembly Hall from right here in New York, where we are. Unfortunately, we are not in the main hall, and so it makes it difficult for you to be able to listen to the different speakers because of the media restriction. But we will try as much as possible to continue to bring you happenings from right here at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The 5 countries are going for non-permanent seats. They are Liberia, Colombia, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the way it works, the seats are being divided into regions. So for Africa, they have 2 seats available for Africa, and these are the seats Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo is going up for. But the way it works, although you do not have an opponent or somebody who is contesting for your position, you will have to win a certain number of the votes. You know, there are 193 member countries of the United Nations, and so to win a seat as a non-permanent member of the Security Council, you need to have a total of 129 votes, which is a 2/3 majority. If you have more than the 129 votes, well, that's okay. The last time Sierra Leone won us, Sierra Leone, we are told, won it with 184, 188 votes, which was a very wide margin. It was a demonstration of confidence by other nations from around the world. And so Liberia will have to win a total of 129 votes if the country will have to obtain or win for itself a seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. So seated on my far left is the Deputy Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, Councillor Dewart Gray. Seated next to her is the Assistant Minister for International Cooperation, Charisma Pennon-Ray. Next to her is Ambassador Louis Gassida Brown. He's Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations. Next to Louis Brown is Information Minister Jerry McPia. You see him there with a red, white, and blue banner crossed on his shoulders. And then you have the Assistant Minister for Ministry of Foreign Affairs. His name is Daniel. His name is Daniel Kwekwe. Daniel Kwekwe is also here, and so that's the Liberian delegation. They are right here at the United Nations General Assembly. We are told a very big ceremony is taking place back home at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on a live stream, I'm sure through the United Nations online platform for Liberians at home to be able to watch exactly what's going on here today. So I don't know whether it is the voting process that is going on, but if you can see in this person's hand, you see something like a basket. I really don't know whether it is the voting process. I can't tell whether that is the voting process ongoing, but if you're watching carefully, you see him there with a basket. He's carrying it from one country to another. So apparently that's the vote they're taking, but I can't say that. I don't know exactly whether the voting process is ongoing, but if you're watching me, you can see the gentleman moving from one country to another, and then he will place an envelope in the basket. So I'm very sure the envelope is the voting process, but I can't say. And on the other side, he's not alone, you see. So on the other side, apparently the voting is going on. The voting is going on. On the other side, you see the person there with the basket. There are many now in the hall. They are moving from one seat to another. So it looks like each of these countries are voting, or each of the region. No, it's supposed to be each of these countries, because there are 193 member countries of the United Nations. If you see here, you see the ladies there with the basket. So I see, it looks like the voting process is already ongoing. So like I said, the last time Liberia was ever a member of the United Nations Security Council was in the 1960s. Since then, Liberia has never been a member or a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. And so this year, Liberia is, Liberia launched its bid in September of last year. Officially, it closed the campaign on the 27th of May. But yesterday, there was a joint reception, or a closing program, if you like, by all of the countries, the 5 countries. So Colombia was here, Democratic Republic of Congo, Liberia was here, and the 2 other countries through their respective foreign ministers. And what I was told yesterday was that of the 5 countries that are contesting, 4 of their foreign ministers are females. Only 1 is a male. I mean, it was made clear yesterday. And Madam Dewart Gray, who is the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs representing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Liberia, spoke very well. She spoke less than 5-6 minutes, calling on nations around the world to support Liberia, historicizing Liberia's contribution to the United Nations. At some point, I will have to lower my voice because of the restrictions. I'm in the media tribune right here. I'm in the General Assembly Hall at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The security situation here is very tight. 2 media persons are entitled to a tribune booth. Thanks to the folks at the permanent mission here who were able to make it possible for us to come here, because even with the press pass that I was issued, I mean, there were still a lot of things. I remember at some point I went into the hall itself. I wanted to be there, but the United Nations security restricted me and said it's unfortunate I could not have access to the hall, and so we had to move to the United Nations press bureau. They, were able to make it possible for me to come here, and they said that I should be mindful not to talk in a way that the people in the hall will hear it. So that's the reason why you hear me talking the way I talk. So if you're back home, this is OKFM 99.5. We're coming to you live from the main chambers of the United Nations Assembly here in New York. I am very, very sure. I don't know what was going on, but I think it looks like the voting process was ongoing, because some diplomatic sources have been informing me that the process is less than an hour. So I don't know how is it going, but I can still see the members of the Liberian delegation, here. I mean, the excitement at the Liberian Foreign Mission here in New York is too much. In fact, I'm told by Ambassador Louis Brown that if Liberia wins the seat, they will have a whole a whole night of celebration. They already started playing a lot of the songs. A few minutes ago, before coming to the hall, I was at the Liberian consulate and I heard a famous song from Minister Louis Colacco, the flag of Liberia. You remember the song back home. I listened to that song, and they were also playing Liberia You Are Lifted from Ambassador Maron Dua Cassell. And so that's it. Information Minister Jeremy McPia is having a conversation with Ambassador Louis Brown. This is OKFM 99.5, and we are coming to you live from the United Nations General Assembly Hall right here in New York at the UN headquarters, where the elections for 5 seats for countries to be admitted as non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. As you may be aware, throughout the process, Liberia received a lot of endorsements from the Economic Community of West African States through ECOWAS countries. They received endorsements from the African Union, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs was moving from one country to another, trying to rally the world, trying to rally other countries around the world to vote for Liberia. 193 countries are a composition of the United Nations, and for a country to win a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council, you must win 129 of the votes. If you win beyond 129 votes, well, that's okay, because sometimes the country wants to have a convincing victory. But this is the process. We're still here. Right there, the Liberian delegation is seated. Louis Brown is dressed in he's wearing a yellow tie. Ambassador Councillor DeWalt Gray is there in her Liberian leopard suit, and you see Information Minister Jeremy McPia is there in a suit with the red, white, and blue emblems around his neck. And then at the back, Assistant Foreign Affairs Minister Daniel Kwekwe is also here, and other staffers. Assistant Foreign Affairs Minister for International Cooperation, Charisma Pennant Reed is also here. And so that is it from right here. This is where we'll be when the results are announced. You will know. I will tell you exactly what the results are. Although we are finding it very, very difficult, to get to hear who's speaking at what point because of where they gave us to sit. This place is highly restricted, very, very highly restricted. The media people are only mandated or permitted to sit in these media tribunes. So I am seated in one of the media tribunes, and so we're trying to bring you things as they are unfolding right here at the United Nations Security Council office here in New York. The General Assembly is where we are. Liberia is contesting for a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. History tells us that the last time we sat in these seats, I've always said, was in the 1960s. I'm sure in 1961. Since then, we have not been able to sit as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. I saw the baskets going around, but I don't know whether it was the voting process taking place. So I do not want to confirm whether it was the voting taking place, since I am not in the hall. If I were in the hall, I would be able to tell you exactly what the process is. But we're still here. We will do our best from where we are. We could not let our viewers down, in spite of the different security protocols. We could not let our viewers down. We had to come all the way up to the fourth floor to the media tribune, just for the Liberian people to get a gist of what's going on here at the United Nations headquarters in New York. So my name is Clarence Jackson, and this is OKFM 99.5. This is where we are. The Liberian delegation is seated. I'm trying to picture as to whether the person at the back there is Representative Nneka Gay, who chairs the House's Committee on Foreign Affairs. I'm trying to zoom the camera. Yes, that's Representative Nneka Gay of Nimba County. He's dressed in a blue coat suit with a red tie. You see him there on my far left, Representative Nneka Gay. He's a chairperson of the House's Committee on Foreign Affairs. And I'm sure you can now see Louis Brown, and you see Ambassador Dewar Gray, the Deputy Foreign Minister for Foreign Affairs, with the phone in her ear. And then next to her is Assistant Minister Charisma, pen and red. And then next to her is Liberia's ambassador accredited to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown. And then Information Minister Jeremy McPeer. And the woman you see in the green works with the Liberian consulate here in New York. And so that's how the situation is like. Everybody is paying attention. You see Ambassador Dewar Gray there is having on headphones. That's how these international conferences are. So for example, if somebody is speaking Portuguese, if somebody is speaking French, and somebody is speaking Spanish, it will be interpreted to her in English, and then she will be able to understand. And in the event she wants to make any suggestion, or she wants to make an inquiry, she will be able to do that. Right there also, I think from what I can see from here, I can see somebody who looks like Senator Darius DeLong. I saw Senator Darius DeLong a few minutes before coming here at the Liberian consulate, but I'm trying to see whether this is Darius DeLong sitting right behind Information Minister Jeremy McPeer. I'm trying to see, probably if you were to lift his head, I will know exactly whether it is Darius DeLong or not. Right after here, we will, endeavor to do a special interview with Minister Dewar Gray. I don't know, but I'm hearing something that looks like vote count. I don't know, but I'm hearing something that looks like vote count. It's not safe for me to tell you whether votes are being counted yet, because like I said, I'm way here in the media tribune, and so it makes it difficult. I can't even see the speakers who are speaking, but at least I can get a gist of the hall. So I'm giving you a glance of the hall right here. These different countries and their different representatives are seated right here in the hall right here at the United Nations General Assembly Hall. Liberia is bidding for a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council, and the election process is ongoing right here in New York. This is OKFM 99.5. We're coming to you from New York. I don't know. Okay, it was the president of the Security Council speaking, and at least the female who's speaking, she's loud. I can hear her. You may not be able to hear her because of where I am sitting. Like I said, the security protocol here has been very, very, very tough. To even have access to where I am, we have to go to the United Nations press corps. They afforded me the opportunity to come here with a lot of restrictions, too many restrictions. So I'm not even able to have access to the main hall. But I'm not deterred by that. I'll try to do my best from right here. The good thing is, when the numbers are announced, we will know exactly who got what. So like I said, Liberia, to get seated as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, will need to win a total of 129 votes. Of the 193 votes, Liberia will have to win a total of 129 of the votes. So like I said, there are 2 seats up for grabs assigned to the African region, and the 2 seats, Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo, are going for it. So these countries do not have contestants. These countries do not have opponents. These countries are not contesting with anybody, but to have an endorsement from the other countries to get seated as a non-permanent member, you need to win 129 of the votes. And that is the reason why it is very important for a country to campaign. It is not a web ballot process, because if you can get the vote, it will be difficult. So I can see Senator Darius DeLon is just entering. Senator Abraham Darius DeLon chairs the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. He was just being brought in by Justino Shatta Gay, a staffer at the Liberian Consulate here in New York. And so Darius DeLon is seated right now by Information Minister Jeremy McPeer. So you see Senator Darius DeLon, he just got seated, putting his glasses on his face. And so this is where the entire Liberian delegation is. It is so restricted so that there are 6 persons per country, 5 persons, including the ambassador of the country makes a 6. So the other people are to the back. That is how it is, to tell you that the place is so restricted. The security situation is tight. You have to pass by a lot of security booths. If you are assigned a press pass. Okay, the results of the voting. The voting process. The voting process. I think the votes are being counted. I see the delegates are clapping. I don't know what's happening. I see everybody is clapping. I don't know what's happening, but I see everybody is clapping. Okay. They are still reading these votes. They're still reading the votes. Ambassador Louis Brown is conferring with the Minister Council for President Public Affairs at the United Nations UN, that's the Liberian Consulate here in New York, Terry Swasey Jonase. And so you heard people clapping. I think there was a vote, there was a results announced. So let's see what's going on. When Liberia wins, I will know from here, because I will see the excitement, the celebration, because the camera, remember, is focused directly on the members of the delegation. So by the time a win is announced for Liberia, nobody will tell you. You will see the excitement over there. You will see how everybody will be jumping all over the place. And so this is OKFM 99.5. We're coming to you live by OK TV Online from New York, the United States of America, bringing you the things that are happening right here at the United Nations General Assembly Hall, where an elections for 5 countries for non-permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council is currently taking place. And I'm very sure what was going around was the voting process. I think they took the ballot boxes and the process was secret ballot. Each of the countries, I'm sure, had their ballot box, their ballot paper in an envelope, because I saw these ballot boxes going around, and I saw each of these people dropping envelope one. Information Minister Jeremy McPeer was having a conversation with Senator Darius DeLon. And so that is it. Like I said, you're not hearing from the podium because I'm way in the media tribune, way up for floor. I'm just trying to do my best, not to disappoint all of you back home. It's a tough situation here, but we continue to do what we ought to do for our country. And so my name is Clarence Jackson. I'm still here, and I will endeavor to bring you everything that is happening here at the United Nations headquarters in New York. I don't know whether the results are announced. I can't say that yet, but when the result is announced from one country to another, like I said, you will know. Right over there are the members of the Liberian delegation. On my far left is the Deputy Foreign Minister for Foreign Affairs, Councillor Dewald Gray, with the headphone in her ear. Next to her there is the Assistant Minister for International Cooperation, Charisma Pennant, and next to Charisma is Ambassador Louis Gassela Brown with a yellow tie, Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations. Next to him is Information Minister Jerry Lee McPeer. Next to Minister Jerry Lee McPeer is Senator Ibrahim Darius DeLong. And then at the back, you see the others. I don't know whether this is a break. I don't know whether this is a short break. I didn't hear the announcements. Like I said, man, so apparently this is a break. Apparently this is a break. I don't know whether the voting has ended, but it seems this is a 5 or 10 minutes break, and these people will resume, and then they will probably have to come back now and count the ballot papers or and count the votes to see who did what. But we are still here. This is OKFM 99.5 coming to you. So at some point you will hear me talking louder. At some point you will hear me lower my voice, because that is how it is here. When the section is on, you don't talk louder. You just lower your voice. When the section is now on, yes, you can talk louder. So I'm still here. My name is Clarence Jackson. I'm bringing you the live coverage of the United Nations elections for non-permanent members of the UN Security Council right here from New York. And so that's how it is. Apparently, these countries are taking a break, and I don't know whether the voting process are ended, but the fact that I saw something like ballot boxes moving from one seat to another, and I saw each of these countries putting in it an envelope, tells me exactly that, you know, I'm sure, I really want to believe that it was the voting process taking place, because I've already heard from diplomatic sources here that it would have been a secret ballot. So like I said, wherever you are, however you're watching us, your country is here. 2 seats are up for grabs from the African region. Liberia needs one, and the Democratic Republic of Congo is there for another one. Like I said, so if you're just joining us, Liberia is not contesting against anybody. The way it works, and it is not a web ballot elections. No, there are 193 member countries of the United Nations. So a country wanting to win one seat as a non-permanent member of the Security Council must be able to win a total of 129 seats. So it is not a web ballot process. Monserrato County Representative Michael Thomas is in a handshake with Charisma, Minister Charisma. Representative Michael Thomas is in a handshake there with Minister Charisma. Michael Thomas was part of it. Is it Michael Thomas? No, that it should be Naked Gay. I'm trying to make him up. I'm sure it's Naked Gay, the chair of the Committee on Foreign Affairs. Yes, exactly. That's Nima County Representative Naked Gay is having a conversation with Assistant Minister Charisma. Of course, yes. So this is a break. This is a break. So I'm sure by the time these people return from the break, the results of these, elections will be announced. So like I was saying, Liberia does not have an opponent. Liberia is not going against any country to say it is Liberia and this other country contesting this seat. No, that is not how it works. It is not like that. But also, you will have to vigorously campaign, because even though you do not have a competitor, you do not have an opponent, you do not have anybody going against you, but you need to convince the rest of the countries that you have won two-thirds majority of the total number of 193. So a country needs 129 of these votes. 129 solid votes. That's why a country needs. If you cannot get the 100 and 29 votes, I'm not sure you're going to get admitted. So this morning we're having conversation. I was talking to one of the diplomats from Sierra Leone, and she was telling me that the last time Sierra Leone contested for a non-permanent seat, Sierra Leone won that election with 184 votes. So members of the Liberian delegation here, they're very optimistic, according to them, because of the work the Minister of Foreign Affairs did. I was even hearing from sources that at some point, President Boakai had to pick up his telephone to call President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, because after the two foreign ministers met, they had a discussion. South Africa was not very clear as to whether it would support Liberia. And my source told me that President Boakai had to take a phone to place a telephone call to President Cyril Ramaphosa so that they can talk like brothers. One thing that I have observed is that Liberia is not using the Liberian flag, the red, white, and blue, on any of its campaign, posters or whatever. And I was concerned about that. But then I got a hint that, look, the Liberian flag also looks like the American flag. And so the Minister of Foreign Affairs was very strategic, because you don't want, this is a secret ballot. You don't know who is clear with America. You don't know who is not clear with America. You don't want to put Liberian flag. You don't want to decorate the Liberian flag on all these things. Another country may want to vote for you, but when they see it, they may take the flag to be an American flag, and you may not know what will happen since the ballot is a secret ballot. So I'm told that the Foreign Minister, Sarah Beslo Nyanti, and her team, was very strategic to say, yes, it is Liberia going for this seat, but we have to be careful. We have to do this thing in a way that it is a reflection of the entire African continent. Let's not make it look like it is about us. Let's make it let's make it look like it is about all the other countries in Africa. And so it worked very well. Even when you visit the United Nations, when you visit the Liberian consulate here in New York, you will not see anything that resembles, you will not see anything that looks like a Liberian flag. No, you wouldn't see it. Absolutely nothing. You will not even see anything that looks like a Liberian flag. Even all of the pictures that are going around where people are taking pictures, campaigning for Liberia, it is very difficult for you to see any semblance of red, white, and blue. You will see the cola nut, and you will see other things. It was a strategic campaign strategy that the government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I am told, put together, because they didn't want for anybody to believe that it is just about Liberia. And like I said, the Liberian flag is no different from the American flag. If you're not careful to distinguish the star from the stars that are in the American flag, you would take the American flag to be the Liberian flag. So I thought that was a very strategic, political, and diplomatic strategy, to get Liberia going. So they're on break. I don't know what's going to happen when they resume, but I know that we are here, and I'm very sure the baskets I saw going around, the buses I saw going around were all ballot boxes. I am very sure the votes have been cast. I am very sure when these people come from break, they will now announce the results of the different countries. So you see down there, members of the Liberian delegation, they're talking. Deputy Minister Diwa Gray, who is here officially representing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here, is taking photos with some Liberians. Yesterday, I saw a number of Liberians who came from different states. Some of them came from Delaware, some of them came from Texas, some of them from Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. They all converged here yesterday in solidarity with Liberia. It reminded me that in the midst of our politics, in the midst of everything we do back home, there's always, and there will always be a time in the history of our country where all of us will come together to say, you know what, we are resilient people. We have to galvanize. We have to put our energies together and get this thing done, irrespective of what will come from where and whatever. So that is it. When I saw these Liberians yesterday, a couple of them actually from Grand Jide County, because I know I interacted with some of them through my friend Justino Shatta Gay. I managed to interact with a lot of the guys who came from Delaware. Most of them were citizens from Grand Jide County. And at the recession launcher, we were lecturing and we were sharing notes. And, the guys were eager to know about some of the things happening in the country. Some of the guys follow OKFM very well. They asked me to extend, their appreciation to the management. Some of them were asking for Julius J. Some of them were asking for Ollie Stevenson. A lot of them were very, very happy to see me. We took a lot of photos yesterday, and the guy said, Clarence, you guys are doing a wonderful job. You guys will have to keep the light burning. You have to keep it shining. And, all that I told them is that we will not let you down. We will not fail you as a management. So I'd like to say thanks to our CEO, Mr. Melvin Reed, and all of our colleagues back home, the guys in the newsroom, our reporters. They are the foot soldiers. Like I always say to people, we are on the radio, so we are the guys whose faces are shown every morning. But our reporters, our correspondents in the various counties, these are the foot soldiers. These are the real OKFM. These are the people who are making things happen. So I like to appreciate all of our correspondents, from Bong to Grand Jide, from Sino to Bapolo, from Kitmount, to Maryland. All of our correspondents, I like to appreciate all of you and let you know that deep down from the bottom of management, we respect you. We appreciate the work you do, and let's continue to do it together. Back home on base, I like to congratulate and extend our appreciation to our news team. I see somebody standing over there, the former ambassador Nathaniel Banks. I don't know whether he is the one, but I think he's Nathaniel Banks. I see somebody standing right over DeLon and Jeremy Pia. That person looks exactly like former Liberian ambassador to the UN, Nathaniel Banks. This is his old terrain. That's why I was telling you. Exactly, that's Nathaniel Banks. That's why I was telling you. There's always been a time in the history of our country where we come together. Apparently, Nathaniel Banks had to come because he wanted to rub shoulder with some of his colleagues. He served here as Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations before. And so he got friends. So probably he said to himself, well, I got to go and help Louis Brown. I still have friends there. They still have a lot of respect for me. I will go and campaign for Liberia. This thing is not about Joseph Boakai. Neither is it about anybody in the country. It is about the generality of the population of the country. And so I will have to go to New York, take some of my basic schedule, go to the United Nations, campaign vigorously for Liberia, because a win for Liberia is a win for all of us. So Nathaniel Banks is here. He's here, There he is. You see him there with the glasses from where I am. He is standing right behind Darius DeLong and Information Minister Jeremy McPia. So my name is Clarence Jackson. This is OKFM Live from the United Nations headquarters here in New York, bringing you the elections for 5 non-permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. The Security Council is a composition of 15 member states. You have 5 permanent members here. You have 5 permanent members. And these 5 permanent members are the United States, the UK, you have China, and these other countries. There are 5 permanent members, and then there are 10 non-permanent members. Of the 10 seats, 5 are up for grabs. And so the way it is arranged, the African region have 2 seats. The 2 seats are being contested for by Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. They have the Asian Pacific, they have 1 seat, and the other regions, they have one seat. So again, like I've always said, Liberia does not have a competitor. Liberia does not have an opponent. Liberia is not contesting with any country for the seat to say Liberia is going against this country. No, that is not how it is. But also that you do not have anybody contesting against you does not negate the fact that you have to win, a two-third majority of the vote. The United Nations itself, the entire United Nations, is a 93 membership institution. So of the 93 votes, you will have to win 129. Of the 93 votes, of the 193 votes, I beg your pardon, a country will have to win a total of 129 of the votes to have a seat to get admitted as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. And so Liberia is contesting for one of the 5 seats. And so that is the situation here. So Nathaniel Banks is here. I mean, that's what these people do. A lot of the government officials, a lot of opposition leaders have been pledging their support to Liberia for this bay. Some of them, have been using backdoor diplomacy. They've now been coming up publicly, but they've taken the telephones. They've been able to call presidents and foreign ministers from around the world who listen to them, who've got a great deal of respect for them, to say, look, my country, Liberia, has expressed interest. We are going up, for a grabs. We want a seat on the UN Security Council, a non-permanent member. So we will have to go out there and do everything it takes, to do exactly what it is. So some of these people have been engaging in backdoor diplomacy. They have not come up public. They have not been having press conferences. They just been working behind the scenes. Pick up the phone, call people, and like I was saying, one diplomatic source was telling me that at some point, South Africa was very, they had a lot of different things fueling. I don't know why, but after Foreign Minister Sarah Beslo Nyanti met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa, diplomatic sources here have been informing me that South Africa was still undecided as to whether it would vote for Liberia. So His Excellency President Boakai had to pick up his telephone, call his small brother Cyril Ramaphosa, and at that point they had a small brother, big brother conversation. It was at that point, according to my sources, that Cyril Ramaphosa instructed the Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa to make sure South Africa vote comes to Liberia. And so that is it. So you wouldn't say, because I do not have a competitor, because I do not have an opponent, because nobody contesting with me, I would just put my hands between my legs, I would sit back in my chair and relax. If you did that, who knows? Probably, if you didn't do well or you do not do well, you may not be able to get the 129 votes. And if you are not able to get the 129 votes to win the 2/3, I'm not sure you're going to get seated. And so that's why you see the Minister of Foreign Affairs was going all over the place. Like I said, a lot of Liberians, Mr. Rizana Cummings, I know at some point recently, former President George Weah, and a lot of eminent and prominent Liberians pledged their support to the Bay. Former foreign ministers were picking up their telephones and calling some of their colleagues who are still foreign ministers or who are former foreign ministers in their countries, but with some power to lobby, to say to them, Liberia is going for this thing. We beg you, we need it. We have not gotten it since 1961 or since the 60s. We have been supporting your country in other endeavors at the United Nations. We want this one, you got to give it to us. So Liberia was going all over the place. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was going all over the place, And I know I was here again in September at the United Nations General Assembly when Liberia officially launched its bay. You could see the unity here. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was here. She was historicizing Liberia's contribution to the United Nations, referencing Angie Brooke Randall and other great Liberians who've made tremendous, significant contributions to the United Nations. President Joseph Boakai was here. Former United States Ambassador to Liberia, Lena Thomas Greenfield, who is just the outgoing United States Ambassador to the United Nations, also graced that occasion. There was music. I saw Fatou Gavler here. We saw Miata family was here, and all these other people came. Liberians came from different states around the United States of America just to come and say, look, this is about our country. All of us will have to be a part. So like I said, again, it was the same thing yesterday. Right here, after the 5 countries decided to do a joint closing ceremony where their different foreign ministers or their designee or their representation spoke. Madam Councillor Deward Gray, the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Liberia, made Liberia case yesterday. She spoke for less than 5 minutes, but her speech was powerful. She was historicizing Liberia's contribution to different nations around the world, telling these different countries why Liberia should take a seat at the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member, and showing them that the seat is not just about Liberia. The seat is about the world. The seat is about Africa. The seat is about all member states and member countries to the United Nations. She was very clear in her message, yesterday. And like I said, some Liberians came. I saw about 4 or 5 guys who, from Grand Jide County, but residing in the United States. Some of them came from Maryland. Some of them came from Delaware, the Washington, D.C. area, Texas. And they were here. And they said to us, well, we have just come to express our support in solidarity with Liberia. We could not stay home. This thing is about Liberia. We came so that our people will see us, so that our people will know that they are not alone, so that our people will feel us, so that our people will know that in the midst of everything, it is not about a particular political party or a government. It is about the Republic of Liberia. And so the break is still on. I don't know how long this break is going to last, but I dare not take a break. I cannot take a break right now. And so this is OKFM 99.5 coming to you from the United Nations headquarters here in New York. Today is the 3rd of June. Liberia is contesting for a non-permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council. I see the Minister of Information, Jerry McPia, in conversation with Senator Abraham Darius DeLong. I see Minister Dewar Gray in conversation with others. I know these are all Liberians who've come from different states here in the United States of America, who have come to say, we have come in solidarity with our country. This is about Liberia. This is not about a particular county. This is now about an individual. This is not about a political party. This is a Liberian process. And so, in union strong successes show, we must all come to prevail. So you see, all of them have come. So Ambassador Dewar Gray is holding some discussions with them. And on the other side, I see the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Jerry McPia, is also right behind. Jerry McPia is former Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations, Nathaniel Banks. He's contested before to be president of our country. He's worked here before. This is his old terrain. Nathaniel Banks is no stranger to Liberian diplomatic politics. And so he's come. Who knows as to whether he's been doing his own background diplomacy. So like I said, nobody has ever heard Nathaniel Banks call press conference in Monrovia. I am not sure Nathaniel Banks has been speaking to any media institution. Backdoor diplomacy is very, very important. It's a very powerful tool in the diplomatic world. So some people don't talk, but they engage. So his presence here today tells me that apparently he's been doing a lot of engagements behind the scene to get Liberia where it is today. We look forward to the recess. We look forward to the people resuming. So I'm sure by the time they come back here, the vote counting process will go on. So it's difficult for us to go off. We will continue to do what we are doing until they come from their lunch break. This is OKFM 99.5, and we are coming to you live from the United Nations headquarters in New York. The elections are being held in the General Assembly Hall right here in New York. Liberia contesting for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, something that has never happened since 1961. Should Liberia win today? Should Liberia win today? It will be a historic and history-making event. So we look forward to everything. Senator Darius DeLong is shaking hands. So I think a lot of Liberians have entered. I think a lot of Liberians have entered through the courtesy of some of the people assigned at the Liberian consulate here in New York. I see them all over there. I see them exchanging pleasantries. This is the Liberia that we know. When they come out, they forget about everything. They put aside the politics of the country. They put aside the different political parties, and they will shake their hands, and they will crack the joke. They will speak their mother tongue. They will talk about the country back home, and that is it. So we are still here. Like I said, I don't know how long the break is going to last. I don't want to lie to you. I don't know how long the break is going to last, but I know that we are still here in the Assembly Hall right here in New York at the United Nations General Assembly. My name is Clarence Jackson, and this is OK TV. And those of you back home who are watching, thanks for joining us. We hope you can stay with us until the official announcements of the results here, so that we see whether Liberia is going to make history today. I mean, if you see the enthusiasm amongst the people working at the Liberian consulate here, I was like, wow. Everybody is happy. Everybody is taking. So I was joking with one of them. I said, why are you people treating this thing like Liberia will once more declaring its independence? I mean, you all over the place. You're so excited about this thing. I rode with them this morning in the bus, the employees from the consulate, and they were singing the Basso song in the car, and I just reflected. I thought I was back in Liberia, but then I realized later that I was far away from Liberia. I was in New York, the United States of America. Ambassador Louis Brown is having a conversation with Minister DeWard Gray and Senator Abraham Darius DeLong. So I don't know how long this break is going to be for, but we're still here. Keep following us right here on Nantinam. That's OKFM TV from New York, the United States of America. Thanks to all of you from around the world and from Liberia who are following us today. We are here to bring you, if this was a football game, I would have said play-by-play description, but this is the diplomatic gallery. And so, as a student of diplomacy myself, I have to be very careful with what comes out of, my mouth, But it's okay. We are still here in New York. 5 seats are up for grabs, and these seats are distributed by region. The African region, 2 seats are up for grabs. The 2 seats, Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo, are going for these 2 seats. So like I said, you are not contesting against anybody, but it's not a free ride. Neither is it a web ballot. Nope. You will have to win two-thirds majority of the 193 votes, because there are 193 member countries to the United Nations. And so you have to win a certain number of the 193 votes. And that number is 129. Every country contesting here, you will have to win 129 of the votes. And so that's it. So should Liberia get 129 or more than 129 of the votes, Liberia would have won for herself a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. And I can feel the excitement that will be here, and of course in the country. Already at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are hearing Foreign Minister Sarah Beslo Nyanti and her deputy Dr. Ibrahim Yang, responsible for international cooperation and integration. They have their own setup over there, and I saw people wearing white t-shirts with the Liberia campaign picture all on it. And so Liberia is not taking this thing for granted. So that is it. We are still here. This is OK TV. I know the OK conversation is supposed to be on by now, but I know Julius and the rest of the guys back home can understand that this is a global event, and the whole country is watching, and the whole country is supposed to be listening. So everybody is focused here on the United Nations process here today, where Liberia is contesting for a seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. When you're a non-permanent member of the Security Council, you do not have a veto power. You cannot veto. You do not have a veto authority. But you have the privilege. You have the opportunity to be in the room. You will have the opportunity to benefit from a lot of global discussions. It's a privilege. All 193 member countries are not able to get seated on the Security Council at the same time. There are only 15. And so you will be like ears for your other colleagues. And this is where real diplomacy is. Because, for example, if Liberia is seated, if Liberia won today and gets seated as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, for example, if Nigeria had issues, if Ghana, if Guinea, Sierra Leone have issues that they want the Security Council to address, they can come to Liberia. That's diplomacy. They can say to Liberia, look, we have this burning issue, and since you are a member of the Security Council, please, man, put it on the floor for us. Liberia will use the opportunity to put it on the floor. So when you go around the world to campaign to your other friends, these are some of the assurances you will give them. That, look, this thing is not going to be about my country. This thing is going to be about the African continent. So when you go outside Africa, you say, this thing will not be about the African continent. This thing will be about the generality of the membership of the United Nations. Because you see, you have to give different diplomatic assurance to different countries and different interest groups. You have to sell your country. You have to make your presence felt. You have to let them know that when you are selected as a non-permanent member, it is not going to be about you. Neither is it going to be about the region that you come from alone. But it's also going to be about them. That you're going to articulate their issues. That they can use you to raise issues on the floor. Because everybody is not able to be on the floor. And so that's diplomacy. That's how it works. That is the reason why, even with all of the assurances, the country will never rest. You will continue to send emails. You will continue to place telephone calls. Even at the dying minute, you will continue to raise the consciences of your colleagues. You will continue to appeal to their diplomatic emotions. You will continue to talk to them because you need a vote. You need a vote for your country. These opportunities are one in a lifetime. Sometimes when you miss it, it's not going to come back. Even if it were to come back, it's not going to come back anytime soon. And so like Colombia, for example. Colombia has been a non-permanent member of the Security Council 7 good times. If Colombia wins today, it will be Colombia's second time. For the Democratic Republic of Congo, they've been a non-permanent member 2 times. So if they win today, it will be their 3rd time. Liberia, I'm sure we have been a non-permanent member only once in the 1960s. And that is the reason why the government and people of Liberia are taking this thing so much to their chest. They are going all out. That is the reason why diplomats, the people like Louis Brown, are now waiting to say, well, I got to get appointed in government first. They're going all around the place because it's a Liberian process. It is a Liberian initiative. In the minds of others, they say, you know what? We got issues. But we'll not watch our daily clothes. We'll go to the elections in New York, win the non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Then when we come home now, we can do all of the political discussions here. So the break is lasting too long, but probably I don't know how the process works because I have never covered this event before. But from the look of things, I think 2 things. If the boxes that were going around are ballot boxes and our countries have voted, then it means this is a break for the ballot counting process. I'm just saying if the ballot boxes that were going around are the boxes that the nations use to vote, then okay. Thank you very much. So Julius J has just informed me that I am live on the radio back home. Deconti, thank you so much. Julius, you have a lot of followers in the States, man. Most of the guys came yesterday. They wanted to see the face of the man bearing the Julius Jet name, Thanks to Julius. Julius is telling me that I'm live on the radio in Monrovia. And so thanks to the management, thanks to all of the guys there. And so like I was saying, since I have not covered these events before, I want to be careful with my choice of words. That's why I am in a subjunctive mood. I'm saying if the boxes that were moving from one seat to another were ballot boxes, and if the envelopes that I saw entering these boxes were ballot papers and people voted, it means this break is part of efforts to allow the elections people to count the ballot papers. But if that was not the case, then it means that probably right after here, the elections process will commence. I'm careful because I've never covered the process here before. So I don't want to uprightly say something and it turns up the other way. That's why I'm careful. So if the boxes that were coming around, because I mean, those of you who are watching it on stream, you saw the boxes coming around and you saw people dropping the envelopes in them. If these envelopes were ballot papers and the boxes were the ballot boxes, then it means that the voting has taken place and maybe ballot counting is ongoing. If that would be the case, then it means that right after this break, when the assembly resume, then maybe they will start to count the ballot papers, and then it will be followed by the announcement of the results right here from the United Nations. My name is Clarence Jackson. Thanks to all of you back home in Liberia who are listening to OKFM 99.5 from Lynch Street. Thanks to all of you there, and I hope you can keep by your radio as we bring you diplomatic coverage of Liberia's bid for a non-permanent seat at the UN Security Council. So you're hearing the bell. I think the recess is over. At this point, I will lower my voice because according to the press bureau here, when you are in the media tribune, you don't talk louder, especially when the section is in place. So at this stage, I will lower my voice here, but I will try as much as possible for you to hear me. So the section is called Back to Order, and let's see what's going to happen from right here. Like I said, if these boxes that were going around were ballot boxes, and if the envelopes that I saw being placed in these boxes were ballot papers, then it means that the voting has taken place. And then probably they call the break because they want to do the vote counting. But if the boxes, okay, Group A, Africa and Asian Pacific, 3 Cs, no more ballot papers, 188. Invalid ballot, 0. Valid ballot, 188. Abstention, 1. So one country did not vote. I think Democratic Republic of Congo. Yes. $186. Congo. Wow. Congo won 186. Liberia. Wow. Liberia has won, my friends. If you are back home in Liberia, Liberia has won for a seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Liberia has won a total of 181 votes. Oh, Liberia. Liberia has made history for itself. Liberia has won a total of 181 votes. History has been made. Liberia has secured. Liberia has won for itself a seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. So if you are back home, wherever you are, I'd like to say to you, congratulations to Liberia. Congratulations to all of us. Congratulations to the government. Congratulations to the opposition. Congratulations to the generality of the Liberian people. If I heard the announcement well, it means Liberia has won 181 votes of the total of 188 vote cast. One abstain. There was no invalid ballot. I'm telling you, you see the smile in the faces of the Liberian delegation there. You see Information Minister Jeremy Pierre, Liberia's representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Louis Brown. You see Dewar Gray, Darius DeLong. All of them are celebrating. Liberia has won for itself a seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, something that has never happened since 1961. The last time Liberia was a member of the Security Council was in 1961. Liberia has made history. Liberia needed 129 total votes. Liberia managed to win 181 votes right here in New York. Congratulations to Liberia. What a history-making event. Right after here, I will let you go for a few minutes, and then when we come back, I will endeavor to talk to Ambassador Louis Brown, Jerry McPia, and other. Wow, they are calling on the Liberian delegation to stand. Congratulations to Liberia. Liberia is receiving an applause from the floor right here in the Assembly Hall at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. My name is Clarence Jackson. Folks, if you're just joining us, Louis Brown is hawking Jerry McPia. He should be a happy man today. Liberia has made history. So if you're home, wherever you are in Liberia, if you are in Women's Snow, wherever you are, if you are in the Grand Gile, if you are in Lofa, if you are in Sino, wherever you are, your country has made another history right here from the United Nations headquarters. The Liberian delegation was asked to stand up for an ovation from the rest of the member countries. Liberia has been declared as a winner. Liberia, so the two countries from Africa were able to win their respective seats. Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo of President Philip Tshisekedi and of course President Joseph Nyoma Boakai. This is okay from 99.5 from right here at the United Nations headquarters in New York. My name is Clarence Jackson and we are still here. By the time the results are announced and everything is over, we will let you go, hang up for now, and then we'll later try to make our way downstairs where we'll talk to some members of the Liberian delegation. Thanks to all of you who are listening to OKFM 99.5 back home. You see the foreign diplomats are shaking hands with the Liberian delegation. Madam Sarah Besloyanti, you've made history for yourself. And all of the members of the senior management team of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all of you've made history for yourselves. Liberia has made another history. All we needed was 129 votes, but we managed to get a total of 181 votes, if I am correct. I am correct if I am correct. I'm saying if I'm correct because you know I'm very far from where they are announcing the results. But I can safely tell you that Liberia has won, and the celebration is going to go at the Liberia Permanent Mission here in New York. That is what Ambassador Louis Brown told me today. My name is Clarence Jackson, and to all of you, I'd like to say thank you very much for following us from New York. Thanks to Julius J, and thanks to all of our friends and people from around the world who follow us. Until I come to you from the Permanent Mission of Liberia at the UN headquarters or from the Permanent Mission office, the Liberian consulate here in New York. My name is Clarence Jackson. I was here in New York and I'm still here bringing you live the process here. The elections are over. Liberia has made history. Congratulations to all of us. My name is Clarence Jackson. Thanks to Julius J and the rest of the team back home. Bye-bye for now.